you would then have to populate it if that's not already been done. Okay? Secondly, the category. Generally, the junior or senior category, you just need to put an X in the block. Nothing else, not a 2, not a 1, just an X to indicate that is the junior category.
It's manual.
Yep. Match number 4, match number 5, and you would have a 0, 5. This is match number 45, right? I mean, as I said, these things should be, should really be captured. It is a men's competition, X in there. We now have a competition. This is the matches between Italy and Brazil, right? So generally we use acronyms, you know, RSA, maybe Saints. We'll have a specific acronym that we use in the league, PWC, UCT.
That will probably be predetermined by the federation, I'm assuming, the acronym, because you might get, like, for instance, you're actually using Brazil. I think Brazil is one of the teams that they have to change their.
So at this point in time, this is the beginning of the match. You're not going to circle any of the actual who's the A and who's the B team, because at that point you would not know who's going to be team A and who's going to be team B, right? So how do you determine how do you determine team A and how do you determine team B?
After the toss.
Okay, and then how do you know who's team A and who's team B?
So winning the winning, you say it's going to serve with team A and
okay, one at a time.
I say we need to do the throwing cost, right? And then when two captains will decide who's serving and who's receiving, the person who's receiving will be team A, and the person who's serving will, the person who's serving is team A, and the person who's receiving is team B.
No, I think
It's not like
That's incorrect.
Is that right?
on the first day.
It's the side that determines who is team A and who is team B. Okay, so which side is A and which side is called B?
A would be to the right of
The
the
right
first
side is A, and the left is team B.
Yeah, so the team A is to the right of the first referee if you're standing on the podium, and if you're on the scorer's side, because that's where the toss happens. Team A is actually on your left, because that's where the actual information is going to be captured, and where you're going to do the toss in front of the scorer's table. So you would say after the toss, Team Brazil is Team A, because you know there'll be. Okay, so it's not about the toss, it's not about who wins the toss, it's about who decides the side, right? Okay, so the country code where the competition is taking place, that is standard. Generally we have a list of all of the standard, but this is not important for us because, you know, we don't do that. We know where the city, it's Bangkok, we know which hall, that gets inputted in there, the date of the match, right? Time the match is supposed to start, not when it actually starts. It's the time that's been fixtured. Okay, and it's obviously the phase of that particular match. It could be, in this instance, it's the finals. It could be a pool game. It could be a semi-final. So that's where we input that. So essentially, all of this information should be part of the competition. It should be really populated. You don't have to do it, but if you have to do it, you have to input that before the match, right? So we also, on your score sheet, you can see there's a space for the team list, right? Team can be filled with anything. It doesn't really matter at that point in time, right? You can decide Italy there, Brazil there. The players, numbers, generally we would expect it to be in order, ascending or descending, whatever you want to do, is just as long as it's in is sort of in numerical order. Okay, important then, you circle the captains, so that also signal who the captains are, right? Now, the person was saying, you know, to changing the libero, you can see already on your score sheet, there's a special place for the libero, right? On the libero now. At the start of the game, the captain signs, coach signs this list. That is your team for that particular match. Okay, we have space for the coach, assistant coach, trainer, and then the medical doctor. Now, this doesn't stand for manager. Right? So there are certain people that are allowed to sit on the bench, and that's also part of the rules. Manager is certainly not one of those. This can be your doctor, your physio, but importantly, the team reflected on the list is officially allowed to be part of the game. So, you know, no journalist, whoever else wants to be part of part of the game, they would not be allowed to be. Generally, in international competitions, there are specific areas specified for them, and as well as team management as well. So essentially, only those members on the team list may be part of the game. Okay, so as you see, once again we keep that blank because we do not know at this stage who is team A and who is team B. After the toss, and then the captain signs, the coach signs. Once that happens, there can be no changes to this list. Right? Because now it's been certified that this is the final team that will be participating in this match. Right? Okay, we're all happy with that. I mean, that's fairly straightforward.
I think also they don't have a line up to see that all the players that's on that sheet is actually on the field.
Not at this stage. Remember, we are doing this before the match.
Yes, before the match.
Right? You know, we say, okay, captain, coach, and obviously when sometimes this is pre-populated because the tournament director and the coordinator and the organizing committee, they verify the players. Players will clearances check. You know, everybody's legal. If there's a certain age limit, everybody has been checked. So generally these things come pre-populated, right? But if not, then I don't know how it works in your association. Yeah. But I mean, there must be. Right?
Generally, the coach or the captain does it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not pre-populated. Right?
Can you say something to this? So what happens is that once the name is been called in, right? Once the captain and the coach then are coming signs because those are the players. The captain or the coach will listen now, the captain is holding up or something, but they don't come and sign. So most times they actually sign that section after the game.
No, it should happen before the game. It actually should happen exactly after the toss. They need to then verify both the captain and that's part of their duties. That's part of the captain's duties. That's part of the coach's duty to ensure that this list is signed off. You know, and you don't start the game. It's not done. Right? Okay. So also before the match, you will then add everybody's name in there, the first ref, the second ref, the scorer, the assistant scorer. Don't worry about the country, and then the Lions people will go there. So you'll see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So generally, in terms have line judge number 1, line judge number 2. How do you determine who is line judge number 1?
On the right hand side.
Of
Of the first leg.
first referee. So effectively, these international these are all most likely also international referees. So what they do is they will also then evaluate. So if you were line judge number 1, they know exactly where you were, and if there was issues in your particular area and you weren't, you know, participating, you weren't alert, there was other issues around that, they know exactly line judge number 1 is not really, maybe not up to standard, right? So there's also logic in making sure that you know that this line judge number 1 is on the right of the referee, 2, 3, 4, right? So it's just additional information. Right, so we're filling out that as well, we're pre-populating that. So now you more or less have sort of the information that you need, and now we're doing the toss, after the toss, right? Okay, so now we know that Italy is court A. After the toss, we know they'll start in court A and resolve in court B. Now, you can continue filling out the score sheet, repopulate your score sheet like that. Okay, so now we set 1. So we also know now. So who's got serve? Who's got serve?
Team A. Team B.
Well, team A.
Why?
Because they're serving.
Serving team.
It's right there.
Team A is the serving team. Team A is the serving team. B is the receiving team.
So what you do, so Italy won the serve, elected to, you know, or Brazil is elected to take the side, whatever the situation was. So now you know that Italy is serving. So you'll notice that there is these two provisions, serving, which S, and which R is receiving. Right? So with Italy, serving, you have to cross out the S. I've seen people thinking that if the team serves, they must cross out the receive.
No.
So be careful about that. Team serves, you cross out the S. Team receiving, you cross out the R in receiving. So that will give you an indication who will serve and who will receive. Everybody okay with that? Okay. So now you know the order, you will know the order of the game because Italy will serve in the first set and then Brazil will serve in the second set. So the scorer now can actually complete the rest of the sets to make sure you're not rushed during the game because now you still have to calculate, you still have to input the scores and tabulate the scores. So this, while the teams are warming up and everything has been checked, you go and you finalize or at least you input the necessary information. Except for in the instance where you're playing the best out of 5 or best out of 3. Why?
Final set.
Except for the final set. Because teams can elect to then be either side of the court. You don't know at that stage what will be the outcome of that toss. So you can fill this out except for the last final set because you don't know how that is going to pan out. Okay, so now we've got the lineup sheet for Italy, we've got the lineup sheet for Brazil. So you now as the scorer have to input the lineup sheet into the rotation order. Right? So you get it, see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that space there allows you to do that. Right? Okay. So you see, it's all inputted. So according to your lineup sheet, if you look at your lineup sheet, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can you see that? So generally, if you have a lineup sheet, you'll be able to see the order of the rotation. Right? And it's always good for the second referee, when this happens, to actually supervise the scorer to ensure that the rotation is actually written down correctly. We've had so many issues sometimes when the rotation was ordered incorrectly.
But you have sometimes also when the team captain say same rotation, and then when the 1990 decides he changed the rotation.
Once the rotation is given on the rotation slip, and the scorer has inputted that, there's no way of changing.
They do that a lot in the league.
You're not allowed to do that unless you have a very
Lenient.
They are very lenient, yes, that's what I'm saying. They do that a lot. Then you have to mess up
because
the
now, so now you might have given the opposition an opportunity to see that player actually wanted to play this player opposite that player, and I want to change this player because they want a stronger player to be there. You see how that starts getting into sort of murky territory.
But that also messes up the score sheet.
It messes up the score sheet, and it shows that something has happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we know that Italy is going to serve first. So you also notice that there are little smaller blocks here to allow you to, while you score and the team actually uses its serve, you have an opportunity to actually input the team's score at that point in time. Also, what's important, and if you're a regular scorer, you know that you can get very confused sometimes, is to put a box, tick the box at least, so that you know that that is the next server, or at least the server, the player to serve. The other thing is, sometimes people do make a mistake, is that, and I've seen this, instead of this person rotating, that person actually serves, which is incorrect, right? So for the scorer to be quite, to help the scorer in this regard, is to actually, at the beginning of the set, is to cross those block outs, that space. So did you know, should Italy lose itself, the next person to serve should be number 3.
Should be a rotation.
Right? And immediately if there's an issue, you have to alert the second referee that, because normally we would have a bell on the table to alert the second referee that
It's a rotation
this is
error.
rotation error.
Yeah.
Right? Equally so, you have to alert the second referee when there's been rotation error. However, the scorer may not, prior or before the serve, indicate that this is the wrong serve. Only after the transgression has taken place. Right? You can't say, no, stop, that person must serve.
Yeah, no, because then you're giving.
Then you're interfering into the
Yes,
game.
interfering into the game.
Right? So you wait after the person has served to indicate that this is the wrong serve.
So the point can be reversed.
So obviously the point will be to Any questions here?
This is something
When the match actually started, and and not the scheduled time, if the time is different.
It's not on time.
Okay, so you also know, where we actually record the actual points scored, and you cross out, and these are already pre-populated numbers, you cross it out, and that's how you keep track as a scorer as the points move along. Now, in this instance, it seems like Italy has lost its serve, right? But they've scored 1 point during that time, and that gets recorded in the space provided in this book. I've seen people just cross out, maybe because they're used to the scoring, and it's just easy to keep track of who serves next. I don't know if that's okay in terms of the league, but the proper record then goes the points scored following the team that lost their sort of the serve.
Tania, I just want to ask, when
Okay, so now you tick the next box, so you as a scorer know that number 3 needs to okay. And that also helps you to just keep track when you're doing the scoring. Okay, so now we're saying substitution. Number 12 will be substituted with number 7. And the score at that stage is Italy is behind by 7 and Brazil is leading by 10. Okay? So this is where you then record the substitution and you indicate the score at that time. So I also see people confuse themselves here. So the first score is Italy's score. Second score is Brazil's score. Italy called the timeout. Italy made the substitution. Right? And you record the actual score at that time.
at the substitution.
At the substitution time. Right? Okay. Now we had a question about returning back into the same player coming back into the game. Right? So now we find that coach is not happy with player number 7. He's not made much of an impact. I can see the score hasn't moved much. So now he's bringing back player number 12. Okay? So he's returning that back. And so player number 12 comes back, and the score at that point is 8-14. So I can see Brazil has actually moved quite long. And what happens in that instance? You actually have to circle number 7 because he can no longer the substitution. Right? So this is what we call a reverse substitution. So this will also then signal to you when the coach asks for substitution and he wants to bring in back player number 7, it's an illegal, it's an improper request, that's actually sanctioned.
Or if you want to bring another player for number 7.
Or, yeah, well,
That's illegal.
if you want to bring in number 7 for number 4,
Yes.
you do know that he's already been substituted for number 12. Okay, so this will also help you to make sure that that player is no longer in. Are you alright? Right?
He's getting hungry.
Getting hungry? T, there's a T, provision for timeout. And you, at that point in time, you will record Italy's score. Once again, Italy scores first and Brazil scores second. Right? If you have to record it here, we'll have Brazil score first
And then
Italy. If you have to record it here, Brazil score first and then Italy. Remember that. Right? So you have to, at that point in time, Italy has requested a timeout, you have to put in the time to score. Okay, so we're off there now. Can we push it?
Let's go first.
See there? Improper request. If you look at your score sheet, you can see there's a provision for improper request right there. So team A, you see it's crossed out. Right? I don't know what was the improper request. Okay, team A, player number 5 gains a penalty in set number 1. You know what player 5 did, but he has been penalized in the first set, and the score was 8-14. Right? That has to be recorded because it's also a point. Penalty is a point. So it has to be recorded on the score sheet. Right? So you'll see there's warning, there's penalty, there's expulsion, and there's disqualification. Right? So for some reason, player number 5 is unruly or whatever, but the first referee deemed it necessary for him to be penalized. So it's not a warning, it was actually a penalty, which means it was a point. So you would indicate right after the penalty point was awarded to him. Right? So you see, warning was a delay warning, so it's a D. You will also notice on your score sheet there is some reference to here at the bottom. You can see, right, at the bottom, the description, so it makes it easy for you to see what you need to input there. So maybe they delayed for some reason, they rolled the ball somewhere, I don't know what happened. So, Brazil got a delay warning, D. It's Brazil, team B, in set number 1. And the score there was 15-8.
Sorry, so that is a team delay, right?
That's a team delay.
And if it was a player delay, is there such a thing? Like, because you get sometimes when a player delays.
It's a team delay.
Okay.
Or even a coach delays the game.
Then it's still a team delay.
It's a team delay. Okay, so here we go. End of the set. Okay, so now you write the end time. So that's important because you're going to input it into your table. You also circle the last point of that set. Right? And what I've seen people do, they put in here 24, make a circle around it, they do all sorts of things on the score sheet. In actual fact, what you're doing, you're sketching out the workings of the score sheet. You're literally cancelling out what you've recorded. So never do that. Never do this 23 and then you circle it, because now you are going to be messing up what you've been recording there. People might not be able to see what you've done. So at the end of the set, you really literally only circle the last point of the match, of that set, last point of the set. And that's it. You don't do anything fancy, you don't do anything, and you will then obviously start crossing out, underlining the last point so that you make sure nobody else can change anything on the score sheet.
So the last point for each team?
Yeah, the last point for each team. Okay. Like you see? So you will underline the last point and you will cross out. So it's always also important when you're a scorer to have your tools available for you to be able to do this very neatly. Some people use their credit card and they kind of, which is all good and well, but as long as you are able to scratch it out, you know, make sure nothing else goes in. Okay. Now we're dealing with the fifth set. So what I said to you on the fifth set, the last set, let's say the last set, right? So now they have tossed, you know, and have done all of their things. Brazil has chosen Now in the fifth set. So team A is now on the serving side, Brazil is on the receiving side on the left, and then you have to, because the tip for a scorer is your score sheet will show you, when you look at it, it will show you this is the A side, this is the B side, right? I've seen people fill this out and oops, and then they say to me, can't I just keep it like this? I will know how to do it. It's not going to work like that. Because you want to score on the side of the team. It's easier for you to score on the side of the team, right? So now if the team A is here, and you actually got team A like here on the left-hand side of your score sheet, it's going to confuse you when you are doing your work, right? So always make sure you wait until you get the instruction to say, this is team A, this is team B, now your last set of the game. What you do here, you can then pre-populate, because you do know in the fifth set, the teams are going to change sides, and you'll record the same rotation of team B on the other side. What's that? We'll get there. So now you've populated that, you've got that everything is in there. You know that team A is going to serve and Brazil is receiving. Got all there. So when the leading team reaches the 8th point, because you know on the 8th point they're gonna change over. Right? When they do that, so now on the 8th point, Brazil had 5 points. Right? And they're going to change around, and Brazil will be, at that point, will be at 5. Can you go back?
Yeah.
So they play. So which means Brazil is at 5 points. It will mean Italy has reached 8 before Brazil. Right? So they've now changed sides. Okay? So they played. So you will see there was a substitution on Italy's side. There was a reverse substitution, right? At that stage, after they've changed over, because you can see the score is now at 9-7. There's been a reverse substitution in Team B as well. They've continued. So what happens is they've changed over and Brazil was at 5, right? You do not continue, if you've changed over after 8 points, you do not continue with this on the side. You now move and you continue with your work on the other side, right? You leave everything as it is on that side and you continue. So the substitution happened in the latter part of the set, right? So you won't do the substitutions here. Obviously, if it's still in the first half of that set. And in the second part of the set, you have Brazil do a few substitutions. As you can see, the score will tell you it's 9-12, which means it was after the change of sides. So you will continue your work for Brazil on the other side of the score sheet. Can everybody see that? That's very clear, right? And you will also see that you start your points after you scratch out the first 5, then you'll start recording the points following that, right? Because you've already recorded your points on the side. Is that clear? Right? So it's literally you moving from here and you continue from there. You don't have to do anything else.
So
Because
it's
that is
only for the B team that you just continue on the other side.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because they change themselves.
The training side.
Yeah. Right? I think that is fairly clear. Right? Okay, the match ended at 11 o'clock. Finalize that. So you see there's a results box. Right? There's a results box. And all of that information that you've captured per seat will have to be summarized in the results box. Because this is what's been used when the organizers go and sort of tabulate all the points, because often, you know, the points itself and the sets itself make a difference in the ranking of the team, right? So if this information is incorrect, that means it could alter the results of that particular competition or particular league. If you know, the organizers take this information and they just capture information and they rank teams, and if it's incorrect, it will result in a different outcome for that particular team, right? So it's very important that this, as a first referee and as a second referee, is to check that the information that was transposed is actually correct. Otherwise, that could alter the result. Okay. So you'll see there's a T, an S, a W, and a P, and each of that actually means something, right? So the T means timeouts during that set. So we know that Italy and Brazil had timeouts during that set. And you obviously know there can only be a maximum of 2 timeouts per set, right? So that stands for timeout. The S for substitutions. The W means the actual amount or score of that particular team. The P is for the actual scores, and W means whether or not that team has won the set or they've lost the set. Let me just see if it's filled out. And then we also have a space here for the duration of the set. So that's why I was saying it's important to capture the start of the set and the end of the set. So if it's 30 minutes, you'll be able to capture that in that space provided. Okay, so that's the populated table, right? So we know there was 2 timeouts and 2 substitutions. Italy lost those first 2 sets. Those are the scores. That was the duration of the set. Similarly, we can see the Brazil also. So, although Italy lost the first 2 sets, you can also see that they won the next 3 sets, essentially, right? So you would then use the information that you've captured, and you will then capture it here. And the tip for scorers is to do that during the game, during the timeout period. Per set. Because generally what happens at the end of the match, now you have to record all of that, and the scorer, you know, has to do that, and the captains are standing there waiting for you, because you have to eventually finalize the entire score sheet before the coach and before the captain actually signs it. So a tip for scorers is to actually do that work during the match and make sure that they input into that, so they're not rushed at the end. After the set, because you have 3 minutes, you know, it's to capture that information. Okay, so at the end of the match, we know now that Italy actually won this game. You will have to add all of that up. As I said to you, it's important for specifically the association to make sure that they actually capture all of that information correctly. So you will add that up. So there was 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. There was 10 timeouts. There was 15 substitutions, 3 sets won. The total number of points. Similarly with Brazil, you will also then add up the duration of the sets. You will get that in minutes, right? So you will add up and get that in minutes. So that you will capture in there. We started the match at 9 o'clock. We ended the match at 11 o'clock. The total duration of the match is 2 hours. That you can get directly from the score sheet. There's no adding. I've seen people add
Timeout.
time between the 3 minutes between the sets. You don't do that.
Yes.
You literally just add the duration of the sets.
Because
The match duration will have the total duration, including the timeouts between the sets. So you don't have to add it in there because I've seen people do that. Right? It's just that, and this will give you exactly how long the match.
because the timeout is already calculated in the set minutes.
It's already, you mean it's already included
Yeah.
in the start and the end of the match. This does not have in between
Timeout. Yes.
timeout.
Yes.
But you don't add that into the duration of the sets. Okay. Right, and obviously at the end of the day, you need to record who won the match. In this instance, Italy won the match. All of that needs to be signed by the referees. And that's it.